show a background of you know, a wide swath of these hundreds of thousands of people who are fleeing. And so there were 2 boys and 2 girls, and I start out when they are children at the onset of the Japanese invasion at the Battle of Shanghai, which was the first, you know, major battle that took place that started the Sino-Japanese War, that for China was World War II had begun. You know, for Europe and the other countries, it was 4 years later, but for the United States, 1941, but for China, it started in 1937, full blast war invasion, and then Shanghai was occupied. And then there was a student who was a brilliant boy in the countryside of China, outside of Shanghai, and it was a question of you know, if you went through elementary school, that was good enough, you know. And he was the second son. And does somebody want to get their phone? But all right, so so he was so brilliant that his family sent him, you know, as Japan was invading their village, their area, and families had to decide, where do we go in the face of an enemy onslaught? And many families said, let's separate the family because somebody might have a chance to survive. So she sent her children in different places. And he left. He was sent away from his mother. He had never been away from his mother before. He was sent to Shanghai where he could go to school. And he did so brilliantly in school that he became a graduate. He had the possibility of studying abroad. And so he became one of the very few best and brightest who got a visa to study in the United States in 1947. The American ship offered Ho a first glimpse into his upcoming life in America. To cool off from the heat of the sticky August day, he took a shower. His first experience was such a contraction. Nearby was the water fountain, another first. After a few cautious sips, he quenched his thirst from this amazing device that dispensed a continuous stream of clean water. No boiling necessary. In the third-class dining room, he waited in a long but orderly line for servings of sausages, potatoes, carrots, rice, bread, fruits, tea, and sugar, a precious commodity in Shanghai. The unlimited quantities stunned him, especially the sugar. That night, he jotted down a new American phrase that he just learned: all you can eat. You know, I wrote Asian American Dreams before my mother had revealed her secrets that were she was so ashamed of telling at first, and so even so, I don't really see them as a separate thing. It's really, in a way, a progression, because Asian American Dreams and Wen Ho Lee were all about, the book on Wen Ho Lee was all about being able to have our stories seen by other people who may just see Asian Americans as all one, all alike, as something that, as you know, a child of mid-century, 20th century, is something that I heard all the time. You're all alike. Oh, all you look alike. You know, oh, you're this or you're that, and so being able to tell stories that actually show that there are many, many differences among us, and or among Asian Americans, and actually we all have really fascinating, dramatic, painful, joyful stories to share. I have to say, when I started this book 12 years ago, I had no idea that we were going to be in the state of, you know, global refugee crises that we see all over. And this book fundamentally is about a catastrophe in the eyes of the people who fled. And it is about the people who fled and what they thought might happen to them. And so among the lessons are just what drives people to feel that they are going to pick up their kids and get into a rubber raft and go into rough seas, or to walk 1,000 miles with their babies, not knowing whether they're going to get tear gassed at the end of that journey, and their children. And that was true for these migrants, refugees, exiles out of Shanghai too. They had survived 8 years of grueling war and occupation, 4 years of a civil war that led to the collapse of their country. A lesson is that people don't just pick up and leave because they think, well, I'll be back tomorrow, let's go. It's that I have enough money to get us away for 3 of us to go. Which 3 should leave? Which child will I leave behind? What about my parents? Who's going to take care of them? What about, our jobs, our home? What about all these things? So, this book is about what I also think is happening today, and one of the lessons is nobody leaves their home or their country or their everything that's dear to them, as well as family members and loved ones, unless what they think is they might not survive, that their children might not live. And that's why they carry their children into these treacherous situations, because they kind of think that their kids won't live if they leave them there. People who leave and find some place where they feel that they can be safe and that they can raise their children beyond childhood, those people, if they find a safe haven, are going to be the most dedicated people to wanting to see those kids grow up and see them have something that they didn't have: safety, security, the opportunity to do something with their lives. And what we see over and over again, the children of immigrants, of migrants, of refugees, they know the sacrifice that their parents made. And that generation that is raised in safety, they are among the top achievers if you just look in this country alone. Yes. It took my mother 70 years to share this story. And we know from other crises, from Holocaust survivors, they don't want to tell the horrors that they saw to their kids. My mother didn't want to tell us the things she had suffered, because they want their kids to, focus on the good fortune that they have to live in. The UN now says there are about 70 million refugees around the globe today. And one lesson is every one of them has a story like this, every one of them. And if we really want to not inflict so much hidden stories, where people feel so ashamed or so much like they have to lock these stories up, if we stop looking at each other as what's different or wrong with those other people, what we should suspect of people who are different, but actually look at the values that they bring, what they can contribute, because they will. They will contribute so more than they will ever take away. So these are some of the things that I think are lessons that we can learn just by reading and knowing what happened to one in one case here.
And the power of your beautiful storytelling and our